Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? We Paddy from across the shuck, and you're very welcome back to the channel. Well, you're going to get a twofer this weekend. I had a long one yesterday, and I'm going to have a long one today, I think. So get a wee cup of coffee, get a wee stiff drink, whichever blocks out the noise of my voice, and let's just talk about a new rabbit hole. I have found another rabbit hole to go down. I constantly look for rabbit holes, like 5 of each knives is a collection. If you get one company and you've got 5 of the knives, that's a collection. Move on, get 5 of another one. That's one of mine. There's lots of them, but this is just a cracker because this could take me a lifetime. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off. Here's where I got the idea from. Again, I just came in and threw some knives down, and I thought I would talk about Northwoods as a brand. As we know, that most people know about Northwoods through Derek Bone and his rendition of the Northwood. He bought the Northwood pattern off a fella called Dave Shirley back in the early 2000s when Dave was going to retire, and Derek bought the rights to the Northwoods name. And then he went on then, this is a Northwoods here. This is the same size as the boy's knife, the number 15 pattern, which to me is, that's why I like it. I'm not going to say lots, but I've had a few different Northwoods. And yes, they're lovely looking knives, but they don't particularly, here's why. This is simple. This is why. This is the Bone Cliff, not a Warncliffe. We call this the Bone Cliff after Derek. And what he done was, when he was getting a design that he wanted to be distinctive, now, he has strayed from it a couple of times, but on the whole, they're all going to be of this design, not necessarily the same shape, but you're going to have is it ferrous marks? This will be black. Now, this one was much blacker, but I've used it and cleaned it that many times that it's gone light now. There's not much left of it. You can sort of see where it was, but it's sort of gone now, and that's because I use it. And like, people are going to say, I mean, these are expensive. These are probably over £200 now to buy, if you can get one. I think I love the look of them. I just think they're lovely, but you've got a sabre grind on most. I say he did stray a couple of times and he put just flat grinds, which I really do like. And I haven't managed to ever get one of the flat grind ones. But again, I've that many other, these are made by GEC. Sorry, this is the point. You see, I'm got off track already. So these are made by GEC. And if you think a GEC is expensive, try buying the Northwoods, because they were only made for Derek Bone. Now his company has still got them, his wife. I'm not sure who's running it now, but they still have the name and they still get them made occasionally, I believe. I haven't had one in such a long time because I'd had a few and I sold them on because, I don't know, there was always this, I had this, do you know, you see a knife and it's so elusive, and it took me years to get one. And although it's a beautiful knife, I absolutely love it. And there's people that live and die by these, but it is beautiful. But this, I'm not so keen. I like a thin, slicey sort of a blade. It doesn't have to be super thin, but I like a slicey blade. And I don't tend to get that with these knives, just the way they're made. But it is a great EDC knife, and I carry it for an EDC knife. It's great. I peel apples and all. I do all them normal things with it, and then it gets dark, and I think I peeled an apple the other week. And then it gets dark again, and then I'll clean it off because I just like to keep it looking nice for some strange reason, because I don't with a lot of users. But I do. I love this. I love the easy open on it. Everything about it is lovely. The bone, it's a saw cut bone. It is just a stunning knife. And there you are. It's got USA there and nothing on the back, but you have the Northwoods. And this is what GEC make. And you know I'm a GEC fanboy. I have had a bit of a problem with their pulls of this lately, but I've got one. I have another one on order, and I think the pulls are definitely getting back to that 6-7, which is absolutely fine. I can cope with that. Like this is. I mean, this is an easy open, so I mean, it is an easy pull on this. If you were to do it by the nail neck, it's still easy. It's about a 6, but it's fine. 6.5, 7 maybe. But it's lovely, and I love the knife. And the way it comes, you get a lovely leather sheath with it, although people tend to keep the smaller sheets and pass on another one. I've had that happen to me a couple of times. This is a huge sheet for this knife. I never use it, and I've got plenty of sheets that I can use. But it's nice that it comes with a sheath, and it comes with the copper challenge coin, which is lovely. Really nice little coin to have with it, which is nice, and it makes them a very special sort of a knife to have. And I'm glad I've got one in my collection. It would take something very special for me to get another one. Let's put it like that. But they're made by the same company, GEC, that I love. This just happens to be my first GEC, the 78 American Jack. I adore this knife. Adore this knife. It was a little bit off-center. And it's like I say, you know, a lot of times I say, oh, you know, that's not the big point. But it's a little bit off-center. It has never touched, and it has never moved from this position since I got it. And the man who sold it to me told me about it. Absolutely fine. And this was a right few years ago, and I still had to pay £100 for it then, you know, second hand, not with perfect, because that's what you paid, much more than that then at the time. But I just love this knife. I just love it. My most used, this knife has been blacker more times than the boots that I wear on my feet, and I keep cleaning it off, and then I regret it, and then I just start, and I do natural patina. I don't tend to do, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't do forced patinas. I just naturally let it come. I have so many knives, I don't get to use them that often, so it takes a while to build up the patina. But, you know, it's a knife. This is an absolute user, much like that. It's just a user. It's a lovely knife. I just love everything about it. I mean, it's the same, roughly. It's a little bit bigger. There you are, you can see it's just a little bit bigger, but a quarter of an inch there bigger at the top, which gives me a nice full handful. So I like that. I love that. But they're OEMs as well. GEC OEM, this is an OEM for, they do it for Northwoods. They also do it for other companies. And this is a Mer and Grosh. You can see it. This is the 35 pattern made by GEC, jigged bone. And I've seen a couple of these on YouTube and that, and the jigging is a bit more deeper on them. This is not as deep, but I think it's beautiful. Whether it's just been hand rubbed, because it was like new in box when I bought it, and still is. I haven't used this a whole lot either. I carry a lot of these, but I tend not to use them because I have a secondary knife. This is another two-bladed knife. And I make exceptions for nice two-bladed knives. I would prefer single, but two-bladed if they're nice. And it's a nice thin profile. But fit and finish, amazing. And it comes in a Mer and Grosh box. Much like the Northwoods have their own, you know, they have their own coverings for the knives. This is the Mer and Grosh box. It was a beautiful big box. And they call this the Trapper. Funniest looking trapper I ever seen. But this is a Mer and Grosh get knives that are made exactly the same way, or as close as possible to the same way that they were sold in years ago. They're old patterns and they were sold in this, and this was called a Trapper when it came out. So I go figure, I have no idea. But again, a beautiful knife. And I think I like, that's why I was saying to you, I think I like this type of a blade. Oh, sorry, more than the Northwood blades. So there you go. This is where the rabbit hole is going to go, because the other side of this knife, you have this Northwoods made as an OEM for a fella called Dave Shirley, and it was well known, although he never stated, that his knives were made by Queen, and this is a perfect example of a Queen knife. You can see the jigging is very, oh no, that's something else. We'll go on that in a minute anyway. So this is a Northwoods, lovely clip point. Doesn't have the flare that there's a, if you look at it there is, but is that a bit off? No, it's not. It's just the way the camera's picking it up. There's a nice swedge, but it's not as dramatic at the swedge that you would have on a GEC. There was another one there I just thought I meant to show you. I did show you this. This is a GEC. This is made for blade forums. And there's the modern swedge that they put on now is so much nicer. Bigger nail nick than you'll have on there. But another beautiful example of GEC making knives for other people. So now apparently, and I only found out this, and I'm going to put the name of MesserHQ. Our Joe over at MesserHQ done a video, it's the day before yesterday. Go check that out, because he done it on, I think it was Northwoods he done it on. But it mentioned this exact same thing. I think it was Dave Shirley. Yes, sorry. He had done another pattern of Dave Shirley knife. But he was saying that Dave Shirley used to get other companies to make knives for him. Or other companies. Yes, I think he did other companies. I think, yes, he had this. I see, I'm lost now. Stop interrupting me. He used to also have he owned the rights to marbles at some stage along the line. I don't know how this happened. And this is where the rabbit hole begins, because this is history that I can chase up through your knowledge. If anybody has knowledge of companies that were OEMs and used famous type names, you know, of other names that they bought them, whatever, the company's gone out of business, they buy the rights to that name. It was a well-practiced thing back in the day, and it's still done today, you know, GEC, typical example. And this is the way the Northwoods used to come when Dave Shirley had them. Very basic box. And inside the box, you had this little bit, and I'm so glad I've got this. This is what it came in, a little felt pouch. It's quite delicate now. I don't know what age this knife is. I'm sure it's not that old. But, I mean, that little delicate pouch is still in there. And to have it is just lovely. And there we have the Gunstock Brown Italian Jig Bone. Well, I watched his, and I heard that Dave Shirley had the marbles rights for quite a while, I believe. And I bought this earlier this year. This is a marbles. I mean, most people now, when you think of marbles, this is a sort of knife you think of. And this is made in China. And it's a beautiful knife. I love the bone on it. Very much in that Rough Rider sort of pattern. But a lovely knife. This is a copperhead. I just love this. But this is a completely different animal to this. This is high quality. And I mean really high quality. And when I seen this and this jigging together, although they're slightly different, they're very much the same. It's like that crow's foot type of pattern. I'm sure there's a proper name, but that's just Paddy's name. But this is a stunning knife. And it's one of those knives, you know, when you put in your hand, you know it's well made and it's high end. The fit and finish is amazing on it. Look at the two blades. Both blades completely centered. Completely centered. Up the middle. Absolutely beautiful workmanship on these. Beautiful. And they're going into tight holes. This is, you know, it's a two-bladed knife. No, they're about the same, and that's another thing. Everything about the fit and finish in this, I believe this was made by Queen. Because this was made by Queen. I believe this one, the marbles, was made by Queen. And I sent Joe a wee message saying, you know, I've got a marbles, and it looks very similar to that after hearing about, you know, Queen making for marbles, or Dave Shirley. So if anybody has any anything they can show me that sort of not proves it, I'm not trying to disprove it, but if anybody knows anything about that, did Dave Shirley make these for marbles, get them made by Queen and sell them under the marbles brand? Let me know, because I find it really interesting. So I've got Queen on one side and I'm chasing their sort of ancestry. I've also got this knife, which I've had for quite a while now, and this is a Queen City. But I mean, this was the company that, when the employees were all sacked and left Queen, and they went and started their own factory selling knives, and they called it Queen City. Now, this is just a replica of it. This is a knife, one of the knives they made. You can see the big Queen City. That's the way they used to do the marking. And then them ones that were sacked by Queen then bought over the company. And that's how the story goes. Probably wrong, but you know what I'm like. But anyhow, I believe this was Queen made just a version of it in the, I think it's probably in the 2012 this was made. So I think it was just them harping back to their beginnings. Again, beautiful. And the Queen City was a more budget type of knife, but there's nothing budget about this knife. This is Queen standard knife. Beautiful. I really do enjoy this knife. I love it. And the date's very special to me. So this is, it's funny, and that date is linked to Joe, because he made a slip for this, or he made a slip that I used this solely for this knife here because of the special meaning of the date. So there, again, this is made by Queen for somebody else. It's OEM'd out, was for Dave Shirley. Dave Shirley also had marbles. And then you had Queen City, which were made by Queen again. So just this sort of connection between knives. Like this is Derek Bone, and he OEMs from GEC. And so do other companies like Mer and Grosh. Like, this is just a Blade Forums. This is like a group knife. So they all do a mixture of knives. And I'd love to know when they stopped doing these. When was the marbles? What dates did they run from? Because I've no idea what date this is. This didn't come with a box. So I've no idea what date this is from. I don't think it's that old, but it could be. It's one of those, it could be older than I think. I think it's still in the 2000s. But I'm not even sure how long Dave Shirley, I go and check it up, but I just want to throw the video out, and it's maybe interesting for people who like doing research. You know, please dig out, because the more information you got, the more information. I enjoy it, and I'll let people know. Maybe next Sunday we'll do a follow-up if I get some information on either of these companies. But if you have any other companies that used to OEM out, and they're knives that are attainable now, and especially older ones. I love old pattern knives. So, you know, the likes of Camillus, I know they've done it for quite a few companies. If you even write a list of the companies you know they made for, I can look for them knives. I've got an old Camillus knife, and I can look for the sub-branches from that, you know, the main company that done it. And I just think it's a rabbit hole I'm going to thoroughly enjoy. You mightn't, because you might see, you know, over this next year some more, you know, knives coming in. But it's just interesting to see who made what, and, you know, and the standard they were at. I just think that's fascinating. So there we go. I mean, there's another GEC, and there's an old Chinese marbles. But it is amazing. When I seen this knife, I could tell even by the picture that it was so much of a higher standard than the Chinese marbles. And this is just a stunning knife. It's one of my finds. For me, it's one of my finds of this year. Absolutely blew my mind when I got this. I just adore it. Such a well-made knife. Sleeve board, easy open, just perfect. Perfect. And a good size. You know, it's a nice size. I'll put it up against the 78 and let you see that. So there we go. The 78 is a fraction, a tenth or something. There's not much in that, like. So the knives that I like, just a knife that fills my hand, but no more. I don't want the excess sticking out either end. Just beautiful. I hope this was interesting. Do you have things? Do you collect things? I've never heard of anybody collecting this sort of thing, the branching out. But I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that do it. Absolutely. Warthog probably has a load of it. Well, he has so many, he would definitely have different, but he knows, he has the knowledge. I'm not knowledge-based. I just like little tippets of knowledge. And this has just little tippets of knowledge and gives me other, and it really is just another rabbit hole that I can look for. Because I don't buy multiples of the same knives, if you like. That's not my jam. And I love seeing people who collect them. Please do not, that's by no means putting that down. It's just me. I tend to buy, you know, and I'll get a company and I'll buy all different ones from that company rather than multiples, because that's just, you know, I can't afford to do that. So I tend to just buy, and I'll buy, you know, less regular, but just add to them until I get 5, and then I've got my collection. Never normally stops there, but that's where I go to. Anyhow, I'm away for a cup of tea. Have a blessed Sunday. Enjoy yourselves. I hope you've enjoyed this and it's passed. Oh, my God, it's only 18 minutes. God's sake, it's a quickie. Take care, everybody. All the best. Paddy's way. Bye now.